So right now, there's something going on where everybody's adopting Bernie's conversation.
Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? Just a show of hands to start off with.
So this is a very important issue. So the plan that Senator Sanders and I and others support, Medicare for All.
I would call it Medicare for all who want it.
Vice President Biden, I want to put the question to you. You were one of the architects of Obamacare, so where do we go from here?
Look, this is very personal to me. When my wife and daughter were killed in an automobile accident, my two boys were really very badly injured. Time's up.
I just want to address that point.
And they say, take the child to the emergency room. And so they get in their car and they drive and they're sitting in the parking lot outside of the emergency room looking at those sliding glass doors while they have the hand on the forehead of their child, knowing that if they walk through those sliding glass doors, even though they have insurance, they will be out a $5,000 deductible when they walk through those doors. That's what insurance companies are doing in America today.
We're going to continue this discussion. I wanted to put it in candidates, please.
I'm one of those parents. I was just in the emergency room, and I'm telling you,
Congressman, thank you.
We fight health insurance companies every single week. We stand in line and pay expensive prescription drugs. We have to have a health care guarantee. If you're sick, you're seen, and in America, you never go broke because of it.
Okay. A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another.
Everybody want to say they're for it because they know how popular it is. But my thing is, are you really for it? Somebody sent me a fantastic article, guys. An amazing article. An article that I must share with you because it sheds light on this issue about Medicare for All. And it sheds light on these so-called progressives who are now running around touting this Medicare for All because they know you like it, they know I like it, they know most Americans want it. It's like hugely popular, right? So now they're adopting it. But here's the thing. Now, it was from a guy named Benjamin Studebaker. And the title is On Healthcare, Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris Think You're Stupid. And somebody on my Facebook page sent it to me in Messenger. So thank you for sending this to me. It says, politicians are really good at fooling voters. Voters have jobs and kids and lives to lead. They're too busy to look very closely at things politicians say and do. And increasingly, journalists are every bit as overtaxed and unable to do their job. I like this setup, though I don't believe that journalists are so overworked they can't do their job. I don't buy that. I'm doing my job right now. It's what they choose to do their job on. They can do their job on more. Trump got small hands. Trump's a bigot. Trump smell funny. They could keep doing those stories, or they could do stories like this. Like you. But I get it, Studebaker. You're not trying to make enemies of your colleagues. The moderators asked the candidates to raise their hands if they supported Medicare for All. He's talking about what happened in the first presidential debate. We saw this during the Democratic debate. The moderators asked the candidates to raise their hand if they supported Medicare for All. And most of the candidates obliged. But several of the hand raisers routinely deploy a rhetorical sleight of hand. I call it the many paths trick. It works like this. You claim to support Medicare for All. You co-sponsor or otherwise express public support for several different types of Medicare or healthcare legislation. Ensure that one of the bills is Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All. But also support one of the Medicare buy-in bills, which are permutations of Medicare for All. Or permutations, I should say, of Obama's 2009 Obamacare or Affordable Care Act. So they hedge their bets and say, oh yeah, we support that, Bernie. I'm with you. And then also go sign on the others legislation that is more of a continuation or a, I don't know, mad scientist concoction, atom splitting, DNA mishmash, hodgepodge of Obamacare. a way to help the insurance companies keep their heads above water. Number 3, when asked how would you achieve Medicare for all, claim that you believe there are many paths to do it. See, the many paths are one of those things that are other than Medicare for all. A Medicare buy-in bill is really quite different from Sanders' Medicare for all bill, because the Sanders bill will create a single-payer system in which health care is free to the patient at the point of access. We pay taxes, the taxes support Medicare, and in return, Medicare covers everyone regardless of wealth or income. No individual has to worry about being left out in the rain. In stark contrast, the buy-in bills turn Medicare into just another insurance program, albeit one that is publicly run. If you have to pay to access Medicare, it's possible that you might not have enough money to purchase access. And that means low-income citizens can still be denied access to Medicare. Some will continue to do without insurance, while others would be stuck on lower-quality Medicare plans. In short, a buy-in bill does not create a universal right to health care. It makes Medicare available only to those who can afford to buy in. So, a buy-in bill is not a path to Medicare for all. It's just a rerun of the public option. Pete Buttigieg plays games with this, calling his version of 2009 Obamacare Medicare for all who want it. But Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris play an even more insidious game. On Harris' website, Medicare for all will eliminate premiums and out-of-pocket costs. But Harris is also a co-sponsor of Jeff Merkley's legislation, which would enable Americans to buy in to Medicare. What's more, she's even co-sponsored Michael Bennett's bill, which straightforwardly calls for a public option. When asked about the discrepancy, Harris' press secretary said this: Medicare for all is a plan that she believes will solve the problem and get all Americans covered. Period. She has co-sponsored other pieces of legislation that she uses as a path to getting us there. But this is the plan she is running on. So here's the thing, guys. This is what you got to see, right? When Kamala Harris hedges her bets, is she really committed to Medicare for all if she's hedging her bets on other options? Does she really believe that Medicare or that health care is a human right if she's willing to support legislation and co-sponsor legislation, not willing, but does co-sponsor legislation that is, you have to have money to get it? Like, it's either a right or it's not. You either got to pay for it or you don't. You either want to fight for it or you don't. Why would you need to co-sponsor all this legislation? Unless, now I'm just spitballing here, y'all. I don't know Kamala Harris. We don't text. We're not buddies. Didn't grow up with her. But maybe, just maybe, she's not really serious about anything other than getting elected, and she's saying what she needs to say because she's a politician, and maybe she's just bullshitting, y'all. I'm just saying. Just a thought. You got to look at the word path. The press secretary frames these other pieces of legislation as paths to Medicare for all. And when they blatantly do not guarantee Medicare for all, Elizabeth Warren is even more explicit. Like Harris, she has co-sponsored other legislation, including a bill to establish a state public option through Medicaid, not Medicare. At a town hall, Warren said, when we talk about Medicare for all, there are all different types of pathways. See, these different types of pathways are not to Medicare for all. There are different types of pathways to other types of health care. Look, guys, when you are going somewhere, there can be, like in your GPS, if you're trying to get to a route, we all use Waze. I've used Waze or Wise or Waze. I'm going to call it Waze. I've used Waze. I like Waze. It tell me when they got radar detectors and when there's a car crash. I like Waze. And it also gives you options when you're trying to get to a destination. You can take a path without tolls or path with tolls, a path more scenic, right? That's different That's different than healthcare. Healthcare is either a human right, and we need to get to that, and that's what we're willing to fight for, because it's life. It is literally life or death for us. If you think it was life or death for Kamala Harris or Senator Warren, do you think they would be so, there's many pathways. You think they would be so pliable, so willing to adjust if it was their kids that could die, if it was their parents who were on deathbeds, if it was their parents cutting up medication, if it was their father unable to quit a job at 70 because that's the only way he's going to get health care coverage for a pre-existing condition? Elizabeth Warren then went on to suggest buying plans, presenting them as if they were simply another way of achieving single payer. Some folks are talking about, let's start lowering the age. Maybe bring it down to 65, 60s, 55, 50. Some people say, do it the other way. Let's bring it up from everybody under 30 gets covered by Medicare. Others say, let employers be able to buy into the Medicare plans. Others say, let's let employees buy into the Medicare plans. For me, what's key is we get everybody at the table. We get everybody at the table. I've also co-sponsored other bills, including expanding Medicaid as another approach that we use. Look, guys, I know some people get excited about Elizabeth Warren having a lot of plans. Wake up and realize you're just throwing a bunch of rocks and a bunch of crap against the wall and see what sticks with you to see what she could say is good. And then she's not married to any of it. If you haven't been championing for an issue for more than 5 minutes, how deeply connected to that issue are you? I mean, I know you do a good acting job, Here's the thing. I got a plan for it. I know. People buy it. Some people buy it. But if you haven't been, I'm an old guy now, right? I've been around the block. I know when people love people. I know when people are just having fun. And I know when people just meet and it's got the new car smell. And I know the difference between having a relationship for many years, decades even. And there's a difference in that type of love and that type of affection and bond. To pretend that you could have a real bond with a person or idea in 2 seconds is ludicrous. It's unreasonable. It's unlikely, highly unlikely. It's whimsical, even. Warren tells you that other people are saying, but doesn't take a clear stance on her own. She tells you what other people are thinking or saying, but she doesn't say, this is what I'm saying. This is my stance. And don't you go saying, I'm being sexist or misogynist. It's not just about being the tonality. It's about the certainty. When Bernie Sanders talks, he has certainty in his voice. He has certainty in the words that he uses. You may disagree with him, but he really wants that thing. He's not talking to you about what other people want. He's telling you what he thinks right for the country and what we must fight for. He wants to get the people behind the idea. He didn't tell you a bunch of ideas to see who likes them. That's what leadership is. And I know a lot of you have probably been trying to figure out in your mind, well, I really like Elizabeth Warren. She got a lot of plans. She did that consumer thing. Forget about the DNA test, Rookie mistake. What's really different about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren? It's right here, man. I mean, it's right here. Warren tells you what other people are saying, but does not take a clear stance on her own. Tellingly, despite her habit of attempting to demonstrate seriousness with detailed policy plans, there is no plan for Medicare for all on Warren's website. She doesn't even discuss it in broad terms. The issue is totally absent. She has more than 24 plans on her website, and Medicare for All features in None of them. If the next president is going to get Medicare for All passed, they're going to need support from Congress. And that means they're going to need to put a lot of public pressure on Senate. To put together that kind of pressure, they need to prioritize the issue, and they need to have a clear, compelling, inspiring plan for implementing Medicare for All. Candidates who don't put the issue on their websites or argue their buy-in bills are legitimate paths are not going to push hard enough or sufficiently for robust reforms. Their support for Medicare for All is in name only. They will willingly support Joe Biden's plan to implement the public option as if that's the way the winds are blowing. They won't lead the party on health care. They will be led by it. For these candidates, one path is as good as another because the issue doesn't matter to them. They don't see. Of course, they'll try to convince you otherwise. Kamala Harris will tell you about her mother's cancer. You know who else uses public stories or personal tragedies to cover up for banal healthcare policies? Joe Biden, who used the death of his wife and his daughter to meekly push the public option. But at least Joe Biden takes a clear position in favor of remaining with the constraints of Obamacare. Harris and Warren play games. Harris may sound sympathetic when she speaks about her mother, but her communications director has a more than flippant attitude about the whole thing. There's a tweet that her communications director put out. It says, "Me, I want a burrito, but I'd accept tacos in the meanwhile. But I want a burrito." Wanting Medicare for All isn't good enough. It needs to be demanded and prioritized. Because if we settle for a public option, that means that millions of Americans continue paying exorbitant amount of premiums with no end in sight. The strength and power of Medicare for All single-payer option system is that it gives Medicare monopoly power over the patient pool, enabling it to dictate more affordable terms to providers. If everyone's on Medicare, providers cannot hope to earn a living without providing health care to Medicare patients on Medicare terms. As soon as we move away from the single payer and embrace multiple payers, the possibility of ever-escalating costs is reintroduced. Joe Biden's public option isn't a taco. It leaves millions of Americans without access to affordable health care. And it leaves the rest of us on the highway to premium hell. There is no excuse for this. Sob stories and many paths speeches should not enable presidential candidates to get away with condemning innocent people to death and financial torment. Journalists must learn to recognize the many paths trick and hold those who engage in it to account. It's our job. It's my job. It's your job. It's our job. It's the job to hold them accountable when they start talking this slippery language. But to hold them accountable, you got to understand the slippery language. So when people are talking about it's a pathway or this doesn't matter how we get to it, it does matter how we get to it because the direction we take to get there may make it unobtainable. We don't want a path. We want Medicare for all. We don't want something like it. We want Medicare for all. When you listen to Pete Buttigieg talk nice, he talk real nice. Sounds real good. Sounds real diplomatic, real civil. That's what I was talking about with the civility. We don't need civility. People are dying. We don't need civility. We need results, baby. We need Medicare for all. We need to remove the barrier, any barrier to healthcare. It's the most important thing. Being alive doesn't much matter what the price of gas is if you're not here to drive. Don't much matter if your college is free if you're not here to go. Life or death. Now, I want you to listen to this clip. I got one last clip for you. It's from Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I'm with Bernie on Medicare for All, and let me tell you why. I spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke. And one of the number one reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills. And that's not just for people who don't have insurance. It's for people who have insurance. Look at the business model of an insurance company. It's to bring in as many dollars as they can in premiums and to pay out as few dollars as possible for your health care. That leaves families with rising premiums, rising co-pays, and fighting with insurance companies to try to get the health care that their doctors say that they and their children need. Medicare for All solves that problem. And I understand there are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible, we just can't do it, have a lot of political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, health care is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights. That means
If you're fighting for a basic human right, if you believe that Medicare for All is a human right, it's a human right to have health care coverage, you believe that everybody should have it, why would you support, why would you co-sponsor other legislation that does not do the same thing? Either you love me or you don't love me. Either I'm the one for you, or you'll be with any guy who's bald-headed and aging. I mean, either we together or we not. Either you support Medicare for all or you don't. We got to stop letting politicians pull a fast one on us. This is a life and death situation. We can't have them just dipping the toe in the water and then pulling support from real champions for the real issue. Bernie Sanders is a real champion. He's really carrying the torch on Medicare for All. I just don't believe that anybody else truly, who's in contention, truly wants it enough. Is building, whose commitment is unrelenting, is put everything on it. I don't believe it. I don't believe Elizabeth Warren. I don't believe Kamala Harris. And at least Joe Biden ain't asking me to believe him because he's not even pretending. Yeah, I got something good to say about Joe Biden. At least he's not lying to me about it. Now, he's lying about a lot of other stuff, but he's not lying about that. Because that would piss off his buddy Barack. I think that's where we can leave it for tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Look, become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack tomorrow. I'm going to cover Bernie Sanders. Sit down with Rachel Maddow. People playing politics. I'm going to call them out for playing politics when it's no substance, when it doesn't help. And stop telling me every time I call out somebody for some BS politics that they're playing that doesn't help, or worse, is a slap in the face. Don't tell me they're playing a ninja. It's 4D, it's 4-dimensional chess, Tim Black. You just wouldn't understand. See, when they said yellow, they meant blue. And when they say orange, they mean lavender. And when it's up, it's down, and left is right. Hey, shut up. Just admit that as much as you like laughing at Trump supporters for letting the wool be pulled over their eyes, you let the wool be pulled over your eyes. It is what it is. We call them as we see them.
I just have to follow up there. How do you implement it on a national level? How do you implement it on a national level, given the fact that it's not succeeded and other states have tried?
I will tell you how we'll do it. We'll do it the way real change has always taken place, whether it was the labor movement, the civil rights movement, or the women's movement. We will have Medicare for all, when tens of millions of people are prepared to stand up and tell the insurance companies and the drug companies that their day is gone, that health care is a human right, not something to make huge profits off of.